my hope is that he looks to play towards Imperial a bit more, but we'll see exactly how he does it because we are heading into game number 2, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the second game in the series between MarineLorD and LucifroN. Spawning in the south side of the map, playing as the color blue. On the Chinese, it is MarineLorD.
And on the northern side of the map, we're going to have, in English, LucifroN playing as the red, the same civilization that his brother Vortex played in the previous round, against the same civilization that his brother's opponent, Viper, played. So, really, this is a matchup that we have seen before, and you gotta wonder if we're going to see a game that is very similar to that. Looks like that was a beautiful dock spot by LucifroN. I'm not sure if you saw it, but it's right next to Deep Fish, where on the other side, am I right assuming that MarineLorD doesn't have any deep fish close to his dock? That might be a terrible spot for him to place it at.
Yeah, he's actually got deep fish nowhere nearby. Look at that. I'm gonna
there is deep fish on the right side.
Hashtag admins. Can we get a double check on this? I mean, all of these maps. You disagree?
Yeah, I have to disagree because the thing is that you're not guaranteed to spawn a lot of deep fish close to your shoreline. You're guaranteed to spawn some. And you see on the right side and even a little bit to the left, there is some. So the key thing is that you have to scout it. I'm not saying that LucifroN has a bad map here. In fact, I think LucifroN is a pretty lucky generation. But if you start scrolling to the left side from this location, you see there is going to be some more deep fish out there.
Yeah, look, you're not wrong. I guess the difficult thing is typically you're just going to be walking straight towards your enemy. Like that's the most common thing. And so it's going to be the last spot you check along that edge of the map, and you never actually know what edge is going towards your enemy because the Bottle Bay, the way that it spawns, it's always going towards one side. But anyway, we'll digress. MarineLorD's probably going to be looking to go out in towards those fishing, those deep fish water. Indeed, he is. You can see it's quite far away though, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very far. I mean, it is definitely a massive map advantage here for LucifroN. That being said, that's not really that big of a deal here for MarineLorD, actually, because as you pointed out before this game, the Chinese have a very fast fuel on this map, so they are likely to be the aggressors on the water, so it's less problematic for them that the deep fish is a little more exposed. Obviously not a great scenario, but in the reverse civilization scenario, this would be way worse.
Yeah, I got to agree with you. I think, if the shoe was on the other foot, if it was LucifroN, who had no deep water fish, and MarineLorD, who had, plenty right outside of his dock, I'd be like, okay, this isn't going to be pretty. Because you've got one player who basically is going to be rushing the other guy. At least that's what I suspect would be the case. And then the other one's defending it. And he's got no resources available to him. But we'll see how he looks to play it, though. Let's take a look inside MarineLorD's base. I want to see what his setup currently looks like. It's highly likely that he's going to be moving towards an Imperial Academy at early stages of the game. But there's no real good spot for it here, Lidakor. It doesn't look like he's going to be able to cover the gold mine as well as the wood lines here.
Yeah, it's not a great spot for an Imperial Academy to be placed. I mean, oh, what is that? That's a boar out there.
Oh my god! He's doing the boar strategy! No, this is terrible! Oh, what is this boar spawn? I just realized the boar... Oh, this is actually terrible. Oh my lord. So, okay, for anybody wondering what is going on right now, on Boulder Bay, sometimes the boars can spawn a little bit crazily. So there's 4 boars that spawn on this map. You have a look down in MarineLorD's base right now, and there is a boar there as well. What happens is he's luring the boar to the villages, and the boar is happy to attack those villages because it's not based on target aggro, it's based on area aggro. So that the boar is going to aggro onto those villages because the villages are closer to it than the scout is. And it doesn't care about race, religion, any of those things. It just attacks whatever is closest to it.
Precisely, so MarineLorD can just aggro it, pull it close to the villagers, and then just let the boar wreak havoc, and it is doing a ton of damage here in Dark Age, so it's actually more effective than having something like a man-at-arms attack those villagers out there. Barbican of the Sun now dropped right next to the dock over here, so there's going to be no Imperial Academy. As you pointed out, no great spots to place it at, and the Barbican, of course, is going to give you a lot of protection for this shoreline area. Could also allow you to have a couple of villagers nearby to go for shore fishing.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's always going to give him this nice defensive base. And keep in mind, he does have the extra range on that Barbican as well. Well, not extra range, but extra line of sight, which technically works out to be extra range because it couldn't actually see further than it could shoot. So a nice little buff for it there. But looks like the boar no longer going to be attracted to those villages. It has returned back to its native spawn. But yeah, it's great to see MarineLorD, bringing out the family in this game. Yeah, I guess I'll just leave it at that. But interestingly, going for the Barbican here instead of going for the Imperial Academy.
Yeah, that's definitely going to make his eco a little weaker. So this is going to be only useful if LucifroN is putting up a lot of aggression close to that dock out there. Now, LucifroN is going very heavy on the fishing department right now. He's up to Feudal Age. The Barbican is yet to be completed. And do we see the first galley queued up? Indeed, we see the first galley queued up over here. As a bit of a reminder, we just received that word from the admins. In the first weekend of each stage, we don't have seeded maps for players because we simply have too many games. So it's not really possible to find 100 seeds. So seeded maps are only applicable in the second weekend.
Right. Okay, that makes a lot more sense as to why a spawn like this would be happening. But I guess that's a point that we can shout out to the devs and say, hey, devs, if we could at least guarantee that a player's got, it's such a hard thing to do. Like, how do you do that? Like, let's make a map completely random, but also make sure that there's at least one deep water fish that spawns right here where a player can scout it. But yeah, I mean, that's a pretty hard dream. But now we see that boar coming out once again. Look at him doing it. I think it might be a she. It's what do we call it? Is it Beryl the boar? Beryl the boar takes out the longbow. MarineLorD's mom going in. Damn! Wow, so much damage.
And look at how the villagers have to flee because that boar is just causing so much chaos. Ultimately, the scout got taken down from MarineLorD, so there is at least that for LucifroN. But boy, oh boy, is that causing so much headache over there for LucifroN. This being said, this galley is also causing a lot of headache here for MarineLorD, and if you look at MarineLorD, he doesn't have a single junk queued up, so as things stand, at least LucifroN didn't lose a single villager to that boar. He just lost, I think, one longbowman, and that was it. And now this galley is actually doing quite a lot of harassment. Only one galley, though, should be insufficient to take down those fishing ships. But you see the longbows are crawling up, and MarineLorD doesn't have a land army right now.
Oh, scout going down right there to a couple of villages on that gold mine, but at the same time, we can see the longbowmen making their way past that boar. They've got to be careful. They've experienced one Wrath of the Boar. Now the second one may potentially come out as well, but we can see those villagers really going to be beginning to struggle here. I wouldn't be surprised if we do potentially see them move over towards those longbows and look to try and take them out, but one of those villagers is going to go down. A couple sheep standing by ready to scout it out as well. Imperial official just doing what Imperial officials love to do, and that is suicide themselves up against that gold mine.
Yeah, that is going to be annoying because the longbows are right now camping it out. But look at that. That's a straight fast castle over here for MarineLorD. And he's going up with the clock tower, so he's going straight for those war junks. Looking at LucifroN, though, he won't be that much behind. So you get the feel that, well, the idea is nice here for MarineLorD. You gotta wonder how effective this plan is going to be, because he's going to be able to respond to those longbows with the stable, sure thing. He's going to have war junks out. But on the other side, let's not forget that the likely landmark that will be chosen here by LucifroN will be the King's Palace. So LucifroN pretty much reaching Castle Age at approximately the same time as his opponent, and he's going to have a second town center up over his opponent.
Is he not aging up with that landmark? Is he just doing the classic old school style of no villagers on the landmark? Is that what we're seeing?
Yeah, it seems like he pulled everyone off. What the heck?
So in the first game, we saw MarineLorD come through with show 2 archery ranges to your enemy and make no archers. Here what we're seeing is the classic show an age 3 landmark to your enemy, but don't build it. It is the smartest move, and you just wait and see exactly what he's got up his sleeve here.
Yeah, for a moment I actually thought that he was thinking about canceling it and replacing it with the Imperial Palace. But no, that's not the case over here. He continues to build it. Looks like he just accidentally misclicked his villagers, but that's buying precious time for LucifroN, who just now started building his King's Palace out there. Finally, the longbows are getting cleened up here. Oh, he's getting the villager. Yep.
Oh, the 2-for-1. Villager goes down, so does the longbowman. And now MarineLorD reaches the castle age in about 9 minutes. He's got double Doc sitting down here with the Barbican in the middle. King's Palace is up, producing, ready to rumble. And now the question is, when it comes to age 3, who is the victor in this situation? Who do you prefer to be? Do you prefer to be the English player? Do you prefer to be the Chinese player? What's your take on this, Lidakor?
I think it depends on how deep into Castle Age, because at the beginning, when we are talking about low numbers of combat ships, I think it's probably better for the Chinese with their war junks. But as we go deeper into Castle Age, that villager difference is going to grow in the favor of LucifroN. He's going to have a decent amount of hogs out, and once we have like 10 ships versus 10 ships, it's a lot easier to build and just implement 1 or 2 demolition ships into your navy as well. So I think at the beginning, I prefer the war junks, but once we have a lot of ships, I think naval combat is relatively even because both sides have the option to go for a couple of demos to try and swing the battle in their favor, but the land economy is going to start favoring the English.
Yeah, that's a good point. Now, with regard to water battling, have we got much missed out on the battlefield today? Let's take a look at what our battlefield looks like as these war junks do a little bit of dancing, a little bit of a 360 no-scope right there, and he does indeed take out the galley. But you can see that there's a big battle or big bit of mist right there in the middle of the map, so you could potentially hide a demo or 3 in there.
Exactly, that's a great place to hide demos at. 2 Hawks versus 2 War Junks as they will open fire on one another. It is the spin to win micro, and so far LucifroN is winning that over here. MarineLorD is known for his micro, but water micro is not something that he practices a lot. He is usually just playing land maps. In fact, he's pretty much exclusively playing land maps over here, tens of hours every single day on the ladder, but water micro is not something that he regularly does.
Yeah, now I just realized for a second because galleys, hulks actually have a shorter range than war junks, but these are English hulks, which, if I remember correctly, have got an extra +1 range. So if we have a look at the war junk here, you can see he's got 120 damage. How much range does it actually have? The Hulk has got 7 tiles of range versus I think it's 6.5 that come out for the war junk. So he's going to be constantly just yeah. Look at that. So the English somewhat counter the Chinese in this situation. If you chose the Holy Roman Empire here, your Hulks would have less range than these. So I mean, this is just, I guess it's a little bit of a counterplay coming out from LucifroN here.
Yeah, it is definitely a counterplay. That half a tile difference doesn't seem like it's much, but it actually is, especially if you micro your ships perfectly, and at this level, the micro is just spectacular. So you can really leverage that half a tile difference between the 2 players, and you see behind this one, there's already a 13 eco lead as well in the favor of LucifroN. Now he's going to have his fishing ships exposed here. If he can close the distance, MarineLorD, then he can take a very good fight here with the war junks, though, and that's exactly what he's doing right now. But he's focusing the fishing ships, or at least his combat vessels are focusing the fishing ships. When you're just spinning, your ships will just target those ships out there, so it's not easy to focus fire on those hawks.
Yeah, and that's a really good point. It's always going to be very difficult, and you can see there's a lot of micro that really comes in with those ones. But typically in this scenario, you would actually see the Chinese look to take control of the water. Against any other civilization, maybe with the exception of the Mongols, they'd be very effective at dealing with enemy attack ships like the Backler, like the Hulk, like anything that really does damage in the Castle Age. But in this situation, LucifroN feels like he's got the one up here. Just by having that tiny little bit of extra range, it's going to help him out so much in these micro battles.
Indeed. And he's crawling up closer and closer. Warjunk numbers increasing here for MarineLorD. He's got 6 versus 6, and it looks like fishing ships are also being pulled here by LucifroN, trying to get some repairs going. Those fishing ships will also be very useful for tanking all that ballista fire out there. Now the distance has been closed though, so suddenly those Warjunks can unleash hell. Looks like the numbers are looking relatively even, losses as well. But that once again is just favoring LucifroN, who's also walling his side. So he's realizing that, okay, I'm likely winning water, or at least I'm tying things up on water. So I need to make sure that the enemy can't just send 2 knights to harass my base. Now there is going to be an opening between the dock and that forest though.
Yeah, it can always be tough on this map to really get them in, but we've got a monastery now beginning to come down here for LucifroN. And I'll be honest, Lidakor, I just had a little spike of excitement inside me. I get this sometimes when I cast. I was watching him drop down the monastery, and I said to myself, oh my god, I want to play English on water. They look like so much fun. But now LucifroN going to be struggling here. Once again, MarineLorD pushing him up against the wall, it seems, but falls back just again. He realizes he may have bit off more than he could chew, and he tries to bait him back towards this little bit of mist on the open ocean.
Indeed. Whoever gets additional sails here at the beginning could have a massive edge over the opponent, because imagine that you get additional sails for those English ships, you have a longer range and you also move faster. That's where your power really starts to shine. So those upgrades, the additional sails, the extra ballista, those are also going to come in as clutch over here, as it looks like now we have 8 Hawks against the 7 Warjunks. Once again, it's spin to win. Numbers looking relatively even here.
Yeah, there's a part of me that says, you know, maybe we've got to get rid of spin to win. I don't know. It just creates these really silly environments. I don't know. What do you guys think, chat? You guys enjoy a little bit of spin to win? Would you prefer these guys just man fight it like, you know, typical ships do back in the golden age of battleships, where you've got 24 cannons just blasting off towards your enemy? I don't know. What do you think?
Nili said something very interesting about this one, and that is that in the alpha versions, I can confirm this, in the alpha versions of the game, you had a much slower turn rate for the ships. So, like, they actually turned like realistic ships very, very slowly. And all I can say about this one is that, like, my feedback to the devs at that time of naval combat was that naval combat in AoE 4 was the least entertaining thing I've ever done on a computer. So maybe, like, as weird as it sounds, like maybe spin to win with the current mechanics of the Hawks is better than the other alternatives.
The way I think about it is, what if you just made it so that both of the harpoons or the ballistas were on the same cooldown, so that there'd be no bonus in spinning? You could just be moving, because like we can see right now, they are dancing. And, you know, Pesity just coming in the chat right now and saying the Battle of Trafalgar was indeed won by a dance-off. You know, maybe we do keep it. Maybe it's not the wrong thing, but now LucifroN actually going to be getting a full cleanup here. Keep in mind, he does have those speedy sails. Look at him moving around here. He's looking to do damage, and you can actually see, not only is he dancing, but he's also got the red lights installed upon his boats. Look at that. He's got a bit of a flash at the front. Can you see that, Lidakor?
Yeah, obviously those lights are installed so that the ships don't bump into each other, everybody knows that. But speaking of Trafalgar, indeed, the English Navy once again prevails, and there is nowhere left to go for those war junks right now. Admiral Nelson would be proud of this.
Yeah, indeed he would. I mean, to me, this is very interesting, because MarineLorD, as I said before, MarineLorD was of the opinion that as the meta moves forward, that it's probably just going to be Chinese mirrors that we see on these matchups, or on this map. But LucifroN bringing out the English, taking control of the game in absolute style, the exact same way that Vortex did. Now, in the previous game with Vortex versus Viper, Vortex eventually did lose to the Chinese late game. And so the question will be whether MarineLorD is going to be able to emulate that same success Viper had, or whether LucifroN is going to be able to close that knowledge gap that Vortex may have had in that first game.
I think one of the key differences to look at is that in that set, or in that game, Viper went 3 Town Centers and then Song Dynasty with the Chinese. And if you look at MarineLorD, he's still at 54 villagers right now, and his food eco isn't looking spectacular. I'm looking at 110 per minute right now for him. Song Dynasty has just now been achieved for him. He's now on 2 Town Centers, but he's still yet to add the third one, and LucifroN already is in a great position economy-wise. 90 eco is nothing to be ashamed of, and was it a demo?
No, that was a delete. I'm pretty sure that's a delete.
Yeah.
He's got so
I
much.
got a heart attack with that.
I'm pretty sure that was a delete. He's got so many boats at this point, he doesn't need all of these boats. And as a result, he just deletes them. He says, I don't need these. I'm just going to keep line of sight on the shorelines. So yeah, look, my main concern is, and this is the same thing that I said in the Viper game, is that we're seeing these Chinese players leave it to too late to begin diversifying their economies. Ideally, you want to see these guys look to try and take control of their economy on land a lot sooner. You want to see them add in 3 town centers, but you don't want it to be at the 18-minute mark. It just feels it's a little bit too late. And now we see LucifroN sitting at 2/3 of the, or sitting, you know, 1.5 times the economy of his enemy. He's on 100 villages compared to MarineLorD, who's on 62.
Exactly, and this is a tricky decision to make here for MarineLorD, because obviously if he starts adding those town centers sooner, then he's going to have to surrender some of the water control, and he probably wanted to just avoid doing that, but he lost the water. As you said, LucifroN deleted some ships, and that's a great move, because as we were comparing this game to the previous Viper versus Vortex game, in that game, one of the problems that Vortex faced was that he had a lot of ships that were pretty much idle, so by deleting 4 or 5 sort of unnecessary ships right now for LucifroN, he allows himself to have a lot more population room to add some more fishing eco, potentially naval trade, but most importantly, some land army, and he is mixing in quite a lot of knights, capturing that one sacred site in the middle, and I would think that he's going to go for the second sacred site on the island as well pretty soon.
Yeah, and we actually see him looking to begin walling up as well. And these aren't any walls. These are the good old-fashioned stone walls that are coming up. So LucifroN looking to try and take control, prevent any push from coming through here for MarineLorD. MarineLorD trying to catch up with the economy. You can see he's really struggling to keep afloat on the food income. But at the same time, take a look at the economy for LucifroN. He is going to the moon with this resource count. Look at this. It's 2,500 gold, 2,000 gold, or 2,000 wood saved up. What is he saving up for at this point?
I guess Imperial Age, but his eco balance is looking horrendous right now. You could see for a brief moment that he's eating the board, the same board that was harassing him so much in Dark Age. But he is lacking food, which is a bit of a surprise, given the fact that he had such a massive food eco from the fishing, and that's really the thing that's bottlenecking him from Imperial. Looks like we get some knights on the battlefield though, and there is no response here for MarineLorD. If you look at his army, he's at 1 spearman right now, just now grabbing hardened spearmen, and all that hard work put into just removing or shrinking down that villager deficit is now going to be gone with those knights coming in for raids.
Yeah, and that's exactly it. And now that he's lost the water, he's going to be potentially raided from all different angles. We see that second sacred site is being captured over towards the island at the same time. MarineLorD is struggling to take control here. You can see he doesn't even have veteran spearmen out just yet. These are just the feudal age spearmen. At least I think they're the feudal age spearmen. They could be the dark age spearmen. I wouldn't be surprised. But yeah, veteran spears just looking like it might be coming out shortly. The upgrade is coming through now. But relics on the shoreline, he's not going to be able to reach those despite having his monastery up. He is in the Song dynasty, so he's going to have those villages coming out a little bit quickly. Question: if you lose a landmark from your Song dynasty, do you still
keep it? You keep
it? Okay.
Yep.
All right. So he's still got the equivalent of 4.5 town centers here, because that is what's important to note: is that these town centers are booming like crazy.
And there is a second very important thing to note. Like, once again, we can draw a lot of comparisons between this game and the Viper versus Vortex game, but there is a key difference in that game. Vortex had the sacred sites for some time, but he never really had them perfectly secured. Look at what LucifroN did. He has the stone walls, but those stone walls are in front of that sacred site. So, sure thing, MarineLorD has to diversify his eco, but the problem is that MarineLorD is on a timer now, 9 minutes, and he's nowhere close to establishing a force capable of pushing this, and we are probably going to see the Berkshire Palace potentially being dropped here by LucifroN to fortify this position, or alternatively Vingard Palace and then another defensive castle. LucifroN can pretty much focus all his efforts towards defending that sacred site for 9 minutes, and MarineLorD is going to have a very difficult time pushing that.
But you want to know the funny thing, and this is, I guess we can say this because we're observers, is that we've got transport ships coming out for LucifroN. But take a look at the defense that he's actually put up over on that island. You can see that he's running hulks. LucifroN is across the shoreline of his opponent. But by the same token, there's nothing over here defending this position. So hypothetically, let's say 16 palace guards somehow make their way into a transport ship that makes its way across that open ocean. There's not even going to be a discussion. That is a sacred site that is going to be captured.
Yeah, great point out there. The tricky thing is getting that dock up for MarineLorD, and this is where the new patch comes into play. Back in the older patches, you just had your ships standing idle on the shoreline, and that's how you prevented the opponent from docking. But now, you have patrol. So you can patrol those ships, which means that you need way less ships to cover the entire shoreline. What MarineLorD is doing is the right thing, though. He's adding a springboard, and those will take down the Hawks very easily. I think MarineLorD has to contest the water to a certain extent, and look at those fortifications, Berkshire Palace and the second castle coming up there. As you pointed out, the easiest way for MarineLorD to break this Sacred Site countdown might be to go for the island and not the one on the land.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the smartest move for him. The question will be whether he can actually get over there without taking too much damage. And now it looks like the knight's going to be breaking through the backside here. There was a wall that had gone up, but it looks like the villager decided a little bit early to actually come away. Now those spears are going to be coming in and looking to get a decent surround here. MarineLorD picking off a fair few knights. These are veteran spearmen at the same time now towards the front. Another raid begins to come in, and LucifroN reaches the Imperial Age. MarineLorD still quite a while to go before he's even up there, but he's saving up plenty of wood. Look at that. He's got 3k wood in the bank. It looks like I'm watching a replay of myself. I'll be honest there, Lidakor. That is a lot of wood.
Yeah, and on the other side, there is also a lot of resources in the bank for LucifroN, but he's pop-capped. He can't really spend it anywhere. Obviously, he can grab some upgrades for himself, but that's basically the best thing he can do. He might even need to consider deleting some of his fishing eco potentially, because you look at his economy, 135, especially now that you can get enclosures as well for some extra gold income. You get the feel that that might be a slight overboom here, and especially with 3 relics and 2 sacred sites under your control as well, you might want to put a little more emphasis on spending your population on army rather than eco.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Speaking of army, though, we now see trebuchets beginning to come out for MarineLorD. My main concern is just going to be with regard to that sacred site time, and we can see it's down to 6 minutes at this point in time. Does somewhat overlap the global queue that we've got here as well. Maybe that's some feedback we can pass on to Vodka for the next game. Maybe we could turn the global queue off, even though it is kind of nice to have that internal global queue coming up for the game. It does give you the nice little timings. That's one thing that I do like to see, but it is a double up of information because we can see that roller shutter triggers is already coming through for our English player now. So he's really looking to take control of the late game.
Indeed. We could see for a brief moment the dock coming up for MarineLorD, and one of the ways that he could easily sneak out to that island is if he's distracting his opponent, and that's exactly what he's doing. Longbow is the unit of choice here for LucifroN, by the way. He could even place them on those walls, and there's a transport ship coming out. Hawks are very slow, so this guy could just be the blockade runner, you know? It's like the Empire strikes back, ion cannons activated, we disable the Star Destroyers, and we just run past them.
He's only sending 3 spears out, and look, I love
What?
I love the mindset here. No. So yeah, he's don't worry. This is a very standard move. So essentially, you don't beeline. If you beeline, you're going to get picked up by an a potential Hulk or something like that. But yeah, only sending 3 spears here. I would say this is a very passive amount, because my concern is that a Hulk might be able to reach that entire sacred site if it does come out, or if it does come to it. But we'll see exactly how he looks to play it now, as he is indeed going to be able to neutralize this sacred site. There is a single monk that stands on top of that sacred site. He's just going to be able to take it down, and we can see now that the transport ships do a lovely little kiss. Monk going to be trying its best to circle around the sacred site. He's going to be sending out Hulks to back up this position. He knows he might be in trouble, and this could be the time that MarineLorD needs to buy. He's sitting close to that maximum population. Sacred site is getting neutralized. He's got it on hold position as well. That spearman is not going anywhere. It looks like the monk going to be going down as well, as those spears say no soup for you, and the wall goes down on the front at the same time, and MarineLorD somehow looks to try and wrestle back control in this game from LucifroN.
Oh man, that's gonna be a painful loss for LucifroN. He also has to focus on his units on the left side over here. This is Castle Age for MarineLorD versus Imperial, by the way. The Hawks is reaching this position, but it's unable to reach the sacred side. So you need something of a longer range, like a Carrack or something. MarineLorD has taken away that sacred side countdown from LucifroN. Now, it's still not looking spectacular for him, but it's definitely the first step, potentially back into this game. And I think he has the resources for Imperial. In fact, I think he's aging up right now.
I think you might be right. We've got ourselves a little bit of an Imperial coming up. Now, the question is, which landmark has he gone for? He's got 2 options. The Great Gatehouse is the potential if he's going for a bit more defensive. God, look at the Carrack taking so much damage there, trying to bombard the shoreline, doing a bit of spin to win there. Springald's didn't unload that last amount, but yeah, Carrack here. A lot of damage here.
Yeah, you just gotta snipe the docks with those Carracks. You don't want to fight the Springolds, because resource-wise, that's going to be very effective for the Springolds out there. Although he could take some of them down, and with that make it easier for his land forces to take this fight, but he loses 2 Carracks out there. Oh man, that's a ton of resources down the drain. Very expensive ships, hard to replenish out there. And behind this one, MarineLorD, as he said, he's an Imperial. I would think he went with the Spirit way, but I'm not exactly certain about that.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, I saw it. He did indeed go for the Spirit way. So now MarineLorD has bought himself time. He's bought himself another at least 10 minutes, because, you know, if his enemy wants to go for a sacred site victory, not only is he going to have to come out there, clear those spears, but he's going to have to recapture the sacred site. So it's going to take time before he gets there. And as a result, he has now reached the Imperial Age, and he's able to fight LucifroN on an even footing. We see the beautiful base coming out for MarineLorD, and my golly gosh, isn't that a gorgeous base? Take a look. I love the way that the Chinese farms look. They just look absolutely awesome, and MarineLorD's done a great job. I even saw a granary in there as well. But yeah, at this point in time, I mean, MarineLorD is still not maxed out, but he's got the resources to do it. And he's going to be in a bit of a struggled position, I would say. He's continuing to get pushed in by his English opponent, but the question is there going to be a way for LucifroN to actually finish off MarineLorD? Considering MarineLorD has got a bit of an advantage when it comes to the defense, considering he's got the extra range on his bombards.
Exactly, and we're entering that stage where the Chinese late game is really kicking in. Another Carrack got taken down by the Springolds. And a concerning thing right now for LucifroN, I think, is that I saw MarineLorD grabbing the HP upgrade for Palace Guards. So with LucifroN having his army basically just longbows in his entire army, the Palace Guards could easily wipe them out. And once again, you get that feel that the Chinese are just surviving and then slowly grinding forward. Looks like we're going to have another landing over here. So LucifroN will try to take it back. I think you need 1 Carrack to clean it up, and you're going to be fine, though.
Yeah, I suspect a Carrack's probably going to have the range on it to actually hit that entire sacred site. But in the event it's not, a keep would also do the work there. So we'll look to see how LucifroN plays it. But MarineLorD has bought himself enough time now that he's going to be able to have a pretty decent late game economy. But now Carrack moving in and looking to put on some punishment. Villagers just getting blown up one by one, it seems. And now it looks like he's gone for a monastery delete into a keep on that sacred site. So a smart move coming out from him. Villagers now jumping inside. Can we take a look back towards that sacred site? I want to see if that monk did get taken down, because if he gets taken down, where is the monk? Do you see the monk?
Could it could be garrisoned in a transport, maybe. Oh, there it is.
Oh, it's there, 13 health. Oh my god, I was scared because if that monk goes down, now all of a sudden you've got to rebuild the monastery, you've got to rebuild the monk, and yeah, it's not a position you want to be in ideally.
Yeah, a lot of time has been bought over here by MarineLorD. I mean, that sacred site is still not getting captured back. The Carrack gets taken down once again. MarineLorD is still on a timer, though, because not only is he sort of confined into his base over here. A lot of the resources on the shoreline are also exposed. I think the gate was just destroyed by a trebuchet, and that forced all those walls to get destroyed as well. That was a little weird. Oh man, so
I just
many
realized
things happening.
something. If you kill a gate, it leaves a big gap, a big gaping hole in the wall like that. But if you kill a single segment of the wall, it only just kills that single segment. Maybe the devs should make it so that when you kill a segment of the stone wall, it kills the walls around it. That would make it so much better when you're taking out those stone walls, because one of the things we did see LucifroN do was actually come in and just immediately rebuild that hole in the wall. And he hasn't yet done that, but at least that will take a little bit more time. So who knows where they look to go with it, but MarineLorD now beginning to build up a big mass of bombards. Has he got that pyrotechnics upgrade just yet?
I would assume so. He's also got the palace guards going. The hole is still open out there. Most of the forces here for LucifroN are longbows. Indeed, he's got 12 range on those bombards right now. I think we're seeing a man-at-arm switch though here from LucifroN, and that's going to make life very difficult for those palace guards, especially because there's not a single nest of bees on the battlefield right now from MarineLorD. And by the way, LucifroN is sitting on 2,000 stones, so he could easily afford almost 3 castles with this, and he already has like 2 plus the Berkshire Palace over there protecting that central area. So now 9 minutes left on that clock. MarineLorD is going to lose 2 Springles to the castle fire there. MarineLorD is once again on a timer, and this time around it's going to be impossible for him to take the island.
Yeah, this time he means business, but he's bought himself enough time. I think this is absolutely fine. He's bought himself enough time now to actually challenge the primary sacred site. And we can see he's got the spears out on the front line. I think these are still veteran spears. I don't think these guys have got their elite upgrade just yet. But he's got 4 bombards in queue, so he means absolute business. And now we can see he's beginning to focus down that very first of the keeps, and all the villagers are going to be down here. They are elite spearmen, I do apologize, but look at the longbows on the back line just teeing off towards all of those military units. You'd love to see a couple of potential nest of bees coming out eventually. You'd hope so.
Yeah, those longbows are just wreaking havoc. Look at that with the flaming arrows. They do have the network of castles bonus as well, buffing them. 1 castle fell over here for LucifroN, but really that's not a major loss. He can rebuild that almost instantly, and he still has his line standing strong. MarineLorD, 8 minutes left on the clock. I do agree with you. He has bought himself a lot of time, but sense of urgency still has to kick in here. And you see, LucifroN is pretty much all in this position and defense right now, sending in the villagers once again for the repairs. Nest of bees still nowhere to be found on the battlefield.
And now looking like Springalds want to come in for a Springled kiss. Indeed they do, up towards the walls. And now they're going to be teeing off towards the back line. Look at the archers, just how strong they are. So much damage coming out from them. Springalds once again moving forward. Bombard's going to be looking to take them out. They've got to be careful not to move up too far, because those longbows might begin opening up on the position at the same time. All the infantry getting taken out by MarineLorD. And he's getting taken to the cleaners at this point.
Yeah, armor-clad upgrade for those men-at-arms make them much more viable in melee than the palace guards. And of course, those longbows, they're just unleashing hell with those flaming arrows. I think it's not even just network of castles, it seems like it's also network of citadels bonus applying here for LucifroN. So he's got that maxed out, he's got that plus 50% attack speed bonus on those longbows. And look at all the upgrades coming in for... I think that is in the bottom left in the global queue. You can see... Wait, that's enclosures.
That's enclosures, so it's
out. Oh, that's late.
Yeah, that is a very late enclosures coming through. But yeah, LucifroN's still looking okay. He's maxed out 200 of 200, plenty of resources in the bank. So better late than never. But at the same time, he just keeps rebuilding this front line, and he's able to hold it. And you can see the villagers are struggling a little bit. Ideally, you'd love to have a nest of bees or 2 coming out and actually providing a bit of assistance against those villagers, because they're the only things that can actually reach over it. But now a bit of a funnel coming in towards this front line. You can see the Springled moving up for a Springled kiss. It's going to get itself taken out as it gets sniped by the Springleds of LucifroN. Bombard's now beginning to move into position as well. You've got to be so careful fighting it out with these stone walls. It can be very difficult, and you can see the Bombard's actually going to get taken out. But yeah, I mean, at this point, you can see the longbows have just done so much work in holding the wall. The wall shall not fall.
And still not a single nest of bees coming out here for MarineLorD. It's getting very frustrating for him, because it's blatantly obvious that those longbows, they are there to stay. They're just keeping that position. English, one of the best defensive civilizations in the entire game out there. And now you got the meat shield also being mixed in here. A couple of men-at-arms make it to the battlefield. Some crossbows have also been added by LucifroN, but the real damage dealer is those 50 longbows. This is the domain with 5.5 minutes left from the countdown, where LucifroN could think about deleting some eco, potentially some fishing ships out there, and just pretty much focusing on this defense, because it doesn't seem likely that he can push into the base of MarineLorD. So his victory is basically based on holding this position or not.
Yeah, I think the most important thing for MarineLorD here is actually just clearing out these walls. You can see he's continuing to struggle up against these walls, having to move his bombards very close to them, and it's a little bit close for comfort, to be honest. But he's going to continue to struggle, and I think LucifroN has bought himself enough time. I mean, we got 5 minutes until the countdown is over on that sacred site, but at the same time, I mean, it's a very slow push that is going to have to come through here, and MarineLorD just wasting his time when he could just be sieging down these walls, and now we see the hole blasted through the wall once again. Village is going to be taking the brunt of the attack, and so many bombards beginning to move out here. Look at all the longbowmen, so many longbows in this position, 54 longbows in that hole.
Finally, nest of bees are hitting the field over here, and suddenly things are not looking so bright here for LucifroN. There's still 5 minutes left to go. Bombards are now just destroying those walls right away. Villagers getting picked off, and as the nest of bees are getting to the battlefield, this suddenly swings in the favor of MarineLorD, because you can no longer just cluster up those longbows. You could technically place them on top of the walls. That would minimize the damage that they're getting from the nest of bees. Men-at-Arms now engaging in a melee, though. Where are the nest of bees at?
Yeah, Nest of Bees a little bit further down, unfortunately, haven't been pulled up to the front line. The Bombard's going to be just teeing off towards those units on the front line. You can see the Nest of Bees firing down upon those longbowmen, and now we see MarineLorD looking to break through. At the same time, LucifroN is maxed out, 200 to 200, but he's down to 28 food right now. Look at the food count for LucifroN. Meanwhile, MarineLorD, more than double his food income. He is looking to continue funneling in units here, but he's got so much siege to deal with. Look at MarineLorD's siege mass just building it slowly and steadily, making its way forward. Got to be entering into these stone walls and really looking to take control of this choke point.
4 minutes left, and look at that, 5 Carracks in the queue here for LucifroN. I think he's shifting to sort of a naval approach over here. He still will have a lot of cannon fire coming from the shoreline to try and just kill that siege, because as long as the siege is there, those castles won't stand for long. LucifroN also has 3,000 stone left in the bank. If he ever wants to use it, now is the time to use that. Drop 3 more castles wherever you can, because really it is just slowing down this push over here. The bombards open up against that one keep out there. Now Men-at-Arms jumping on the bombards though, and there is no defense over here for MarineLorD. This could be a disaster for him.
Yeah, where is the defense right now for MarineLorD? You see the spears slowly but steadily moving forward. All the nest of bees going to be falling back, but at the same time, the bombard's getting absolutely shredded. Men-at-Arms once again doing a great job here. You can see LucifroN is struggling once again with that food economy, having a tough time replacing all of these units, but at the same time, all the bombards seem to survive. Only one siege unit going down. There's the second one finally going down. Springald's on the back line actually doing a decent job of taking them out, but they are going to be losing their lives as well. And now MarineLorD is continuing to push out with more nest of bees. Springald's yet to be seen on... Yeah, the water is where the battle is really going to begin now.
No, there's already a battle in the water. There's a Bo5 up there for MarineLorD, and you could see a ping on the water. If I look at the minimap very closely, I see blue dots closing on the island. Look at that, there is a Bo5 out there.
Wow, so the Bo5 might actually be able to take out the keep here. Keep is going to be using its bombard to fire down upon the Bo5 in the water. There's obviously villagers there to prepare or to take that down, but now 2 minutes 20 remain for that timer. So you've got just 2 minutes to go, and there hasn't really been a lot of headway that's been made in this position. Villagers going to be turning their attention towards repairing that keep, keeping it alive, and now we really need to see MarineLorD begin to push in. You can see he's struggling, but at the same time, he's on 200 population. LucifroN at the same time at 198, and MarineLorD having such a difficult time pushing through this mass. He's got a lot of siege here, but where are the rest of his units?
Yeah, nowhere to be found. There's a transport ship, though, for a landing. 16 spearmen, that's going to be a kamikaze landing there, but there's a castle with the arrow fire, with the boiling oil, with the bombard. MarineLorD can't afford to split his attention now, so this is his last effort to neutralize that sacred site out there. LucifroN has to send in all the villagers. I don't think this is going to be enough. It's more like a diversion for one big push in the left side, because that's his only hope.
Yeah, Trebuchet actually moving out right now. Villager's going to be standing on the sacred site. You can see he's going to be able to hold this position. Villager's getting mauled completely, and the problem is that outpost, or that keep rather, is just going to be standing so steadfast. I don't think there's any possible way that he's actually going to be able to take this sacred site. You can see he's pausing the clock while he's standing on it, buying himself some time, and now a Carrack going to be coming over to back up this position, and indeed he keeps it safe. I think MarineLorD might be in trouble here, ladies and gentlemen. I think we might have a tap out coming through any second, because MarineLorD knows there's nothing he can do in this position. He's going to have to pull all forces to the front gate. This might be a good game.
Oh boy, the Springals took down 2 bombards over here. There was no meat shield to absorb the fire with, and who's protecting those bombards? No one is protecting them, losing all those bombards with 50 seconds left. That's a disaster. It's a complete disaster here for MarineLorD.
Yeah, the 3 gongs going off mean it is time to party, ladies and gentlemen. This is it. It's your final call. Last drinks are being served right now. This is the final dance. So
too late.
Oh my lord.
Too late.
No. It makes total sense. He's going to take the Is he taking the transports to the other island?
Yeah, there's a Carrack out there, though.
He's an absolute madman. I love it.
Oh my god.
Let's see exactly what he can do. I thought he was going to be looping around to the other one, but it looks like a bit of a kamikaze situation right here as the Carrack getting off double shots. Good game.
Taps out.
He taps out. He realizes it wasn't too long for this world.
Oh, that's so difficult. I mean, he almost, like, he could have gotten away with 1 transport, but 1 transport isn't enough because the castle cleans it up. I think that was his last hurrah. No, actually, I'm now looking at it. There was 6 seconds left on the clock. So he probably tapped out because he realized that he can't even reach the island in time, even if he has all 3 transports surviving. Crazy defense here for LucifroN.
If he had gone for the west side, that would have made a lot more sense because he would have then gone around all of all of the potential castles, all of those issues. He would have forced the army of his opponent out of position. I think that probably would have been a better bet, but LucifroN demonstrating his prowess in that matchup. Very well played to him, and obviously Vortic's going to be very happy seeing that LucifroN is successful in that situation as well.
Yeah, and the key thing was that Stonewall we talked so much about before. That was basically the key establishment. Maybe if MarineLorD goes with the transport ship all around and tries to go for the land sacred side of the landing, but the longbows were nearby, the Berkshire Pass was nearby. Oh, this is so tough. I feel like MarineLorD should have either committed to a full land push or commit to taking the water back, because one of the problems that was to a certain extent there for him is that he split his attention and LucifroN was able to repel attacks on both fronts. So if MarineLorD maybe instead of going for, let's say, 7 bombards goes for 3 or 4 Bauschans, he could have taken the island back. Obviously, it's easy to say these as we're just sitting here in the caster's booth, but in retrospective, MarineLorD split his attention, and maybe that was the reason why he wasn't able to neutralize either of those 2 sacred sites.